Hello, and welcome to Math Made Easy with Mr. S, the YouTube channel dedicated to showing you that math really is easy if you learn the right way and you work hard. Today's lesson that we're going to talk about is the distributive property. Okay, so before we start talking about how to do the distributive property, we need to know what the distributive property is. The distributive property, the main purpose of it is it's used to eliminate parentheses when you're trying to simplify an expression. Okay, usually when you're solving multi-step equations and you got to get through the steps, distributive property is normally the first step to solving a multi-step equation. Okay, and it's used to eliminate parentheses when you want to simplify something. So for example, if we've got something that looks like this here on the left, this is considered not simplified. Okay, if there's parentheses in the expression, in the equation, it's not a simplified expression. So the way you simplify it is you get rid of the parentheses. Over here on the right is considered simplified because of the fact that the parentheses are gone. Okay, so the way we're going to get those parentheses out of the way is by doing the distributive property. And the distributive property is as simple as just take what's on the outside of parentheses and you're going to multiply it by each of the terms on the inside. Okay, so for example, if I was going to simplify what's on the left, I would take this a on the outside and multiply it by b on the inside. And a times b is just ab. Then I would do the same thing with the other term on the inside. I would take the a on the outside and multiply it by the c on the inside. Okay, just like a times b is ab, a times c is ac. And then I look at the sign on the inside, and since positive a times positive c, that's what this plus sign is here, it's a positive c. A positive times a positive is a positive. That's why it's ab plus ac. Okay, so a times b plus c is just ab plus ac. That's a basic distributive property. Okay, but it also works with the subtraction sign or the negative sign on the inside. If I have a times b minus c, I still start with a times b, which is still ab. I do a times c, which is still ac. But in this case, now it's a times negative c, and a positive a times a negative c is a negative ac. Okay, a positive times a negative is a negative. If you're not sure how to multiply integers together, watch my video on multiplying integers to show you the rules to multiply. So this is your basic distributive property, or the basis of it, the rules of it, how it works. And now if all those letters confuse you, I'm going to show you a quick number example, okay, a numeric example that'll show you that it actually does work and might make it a little more clear how it works. Okay, so for example, if I have 3 times 4 plus 2, you've learned or worked many times with the order of operations. Okay, order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. You have to solve equations in that order or you will not get the right answer. Okay, so in this case, if we were using order of operations, our first step would be the parentheses, do 4 plus 2. So that means instead of 3 times 4 plus 2, we have 3 times 6, because that's what 4 plus 2 gives us. And when we multiply together, we get 18. Okay, well what I want to show you is how distributive property actually gives you the exact same answer. Okay, so for example, like we talked about on the last slide, we take what's on the outside times what's on the inside. So in this case, I would start by doing 3 times 4. And 3 times 4 we all know is 12. Then I do my 3 times 2. 3 times 2 we all know is 6. And then since it was positive 3 times positive 2, a positive times a positive is always a positive. Okay, so I would have 12 plus 6. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6. And then I add those together to get 18. Okay, so just an example to show you that distributive property does work, does give you the exact same answer that you would have if you did it using order of operations. Hey, now would you use distributive property on a problem like this? Probably not. I wouldn't. I would do 4 plus 6 or 4 plus 2 to get 6, multiply by 3. But where we have to use distributive property is when we have variables involved. Okay, so for example, if I have 4 outside times x plus 3 inside. The reason we have to do distributive property here is you can't do x plus 3. Those are not like terms. You cannot add those together. It is mathematically impossible to do an x plus a 3. So the only way to make the parentheses go away is by doing distributive property. Okay, we're going to take this number 4 on the outside and multiply it by both numbers inside. So we do 4 times x first, which gives us 4x. Okay, then we do 4 times 3. 4 times 3 gives us the 12. And then since it was positive 4 times positive 3, it's positive 12. A positive times a positive is a positive. And when you multiply and signs are the same, positive answer. And then that's all we can do. We can't add 4x and 12 together, so we just leave it 4x plus 12. This is our simplified answer to that distributive property problem. Okay, another example. If I have 5 outside times y minus 7. Again, I can't put y and minus 7 together. They don't go together. They're not like terms. If you're not sure how to add or combine like terms, watch my video on that so you can see what I'm talking about when I say like terms. So on this, the only way to simplify it is distributive property. Do 5 times y to get 5y. Then we do 5 times 7 to get 35. But since this is positive 5 times negative 7, signs are different. Positive times a negative is always a negative number. So my final expression is 5y minus 35. And if you're not good with multiplying or dividing integers, watch my video on that also to see the rules to multiply integers together. Okay, so just a couple more with variables just to make sure we've got the steps down, make sure we're doing the correct multiplication. So this time we have a negative number outside, but that doesn't change what we do. It's still take the outside number times what's on the inside. So I would start with negative 3 times x, which is just negative 3x. Then I do negative 3 times negative 5. Again, multiplying integers. Signs are the same. A negative times a negative actually gives us a positive 15. Okay, when signs are the same and you multiply, you get a positive number. And if you're not sure why, you don't know what that means, watch my video on multiplying and dividing integers. And the last one, a little bit trickier. Now we have 3 numbers inside the parentheses. But that does not change what we do. We're always just going to multiply everything on the inside by what's on the outside. So for this one, we're just going to do 3 multiplication problems instead of 2. So we're going to start with 7 times 2a. And since 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 2a is just 14a. Then I do 7 times b. Well, that's just 7 times 1b. 7 times b is 7b. And since it was positive 7 times positive b, that's why it's positive 7b. And then my last term is 7 times negative 8. A positive times a negative. Signs are different. Anytime you multiply and signs are different, you get a negative answer. So positive 7 times negative 8 is a negative 56. And that would be my simplified expression for this example. Okay, again, this is just your introduction to what distributive property is. Now, where you're going to use it, when we start solving multi-step equations, and you have to simplify, as you can't solve an equation that has parentheses in it, you need to make the parentheses go away by doing distributive property. Okay, but we'll get to that when we get into multi-step equations. But this is your introduction to distributive property. It's as simple as multiply the outside number by everything on the inside and simplify it so there's no parentheses. Okay, so as I always say, do not give up. Okay, even if you're really struggling right now, a lot of this isn't making sense, rewatch the video. Go back and watch my previous videos about multiplying and dividing integers so you know those rules. Okay, so that hopefully this starts to make sense because math builds on itself. And if you don't understand distributive property, you're going to struggle with the next steps of equations. Okay, so please make sure you watch this video over if you needed until you understand how distributive property works. Hey, if this video is valuable for you, please like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, comment anything you want to comment as far as what you would like me to show next, or what I can improve on, or what you like about it. I'd appreciate it. And let's share this video so that we can show everybody that math really is easy if you learn it the right way and work hard to understand it. Okay? Have a great day and be good to each other. Thank you very much.